Ever wonder how many panels you need for your comic? Well, today we're going to see what happens when we tell the same story with different amount of panels, plus I'll give you great tips to help your storytelling. Hey, Walter here, making comics easier because it shouldn't be overwhelming or daunting to tell your story. Panels are a complex concept, so instead of dumping everything into one massive mega lesson, we're going to do a series of mini lessons, so please be sure to like and sub so you don't miss out. Now, today we're going to be talking about panel counts and how it can affect your reader, which leads us to my first tip. How many panels isn't the real question. The real question we need to answer is, what is the essence of the scene? And that's going to inform the panel count. Is the scene about a character or maybe their emotion? It could be about the action or a detail about the world. So tip, if you're drawing someone else's script, don't be afraid to collaborate with the writer. If you think the script could be better visualized with more or less panels, speak up. The script isn't the final form. You're the director. Bring it to life, Dr. Frankenstein. And speaking of films, my next tip, don't think of a comic panel as just a screenshot from a movie. Movies get to use a bunch of sequence frames to tell their story. With comics, we have to take those hundreds of frames that show different angles, characters, emotions, and we have to cram all of that into a single panel. Next tip, which is going to help us with that, is the gutter is our friend. It's the white area between the panels, and it's not just empty space. It's a key component of what makes comics work, and although there is no image there, there is implied action, time, and events. So let's put all those concepts into action. Here's Jiro taking some time off of Ghost Bats to do some chores. He's got a hammer and wood, walking towards a window. Next, we see he's about to strike. We add some sound effects, and voila, the boards are secured. We didn't actually see Jiro hammering every single board and every single nail, but as readers, we need to accept that the hammering took place. And that magic actually happens in the gutters. The gutters and the reader's imagination will do a lot of the work for us. Knowing how much work their imagination can handle is the hidden art of comics. Now, this is a classic example of a 3-panel comic strip. Panel 1 is the setup, 2 is the action or the build-up, and we resolve all of it in panel 3. It's a structured pacing that feels right. Of course, you can play with this to make your reader feel feelings. Now, comic strips and gag strips use this structure a lot because it's the same structure of a lot of jokes. Setup, assumption, and the punchline. It's compact and complete. So just to satiate my own curiosity, why do you think he's boarding up the window? Zombies, hurricanes, bandits, or just some kind of questionable interior decorating? Let me know in the comments. Now, what if we really don't have the space on the page or don't have the time to draw these 3 panels? Can we do it in 2 panels? Sure. Cut out the middle panel and we still know what happened in the gutter. What's interesting is we could actually make the argument that there is still a middle panel, and that's the gutter, because we all agree what happened in that empty white space. We could even just use the first 2 panels or the last 2 panels. But which 2 do we need? What we need to ask is what's important. If it's important to see that he's rushing to the window, that's the urgency, we use that panel. Do we need to see that he's angry? Then maybe we use the last 2 panels. Different panel counts telling the same story with a different impact on the reader. Now, side note, and I love my side notes, my comic creating journey started with 3-panel gag strips. It's a good way to learn about storytelling, anatomy, perspective, backgrounds, character consistency, design, just all of that stuff in like small, bite-sized, low-risk, low-commitment chunks, because you can tell like an entire story in 3 panels versus 120 pages. I even turned my gag strip into a fully fleshed out long-form graphic novel, which you can read on WEBTOON or purchase a physical copy, and the original gag strip I think is still on Drunk Duck. If any of you know what that is, I'll link it all down below. Now, let's take it a step further. Can we tell the story of the boarded up window in just a single panel? Yeah, I think so. Jiro walking towards the window with boards and a hammer. We know what's about to happen, or maybe he's walking away from the boarded up window holding the hammer. We know what happened. Another side note, and I know, I can't help myself, notice how he is moving to the left. This would be great for the reading flow in a manga because we read them right to left. But for an American comic, since we read left to right, it may be better to flip this image so it moves with the reader's eye or leads the reader's eye to the next panel. This can apply to webtoons as well. Even though you only see one panel at a time and you have to scroll down for the next one, you still have to lead the reader through the dialogue or the action in that single panel. Now, this isn't a rule written in concrete, just something fun to think about. You can even intentionally break this concept to sort of create an opposition to the reader because you're going against their natural flow. It's just kind of an interesting thing about comics. Now, instead of removing panels, what happens if we add panels? Let's add one of the hammer hitting the nail into the board. After getting down to a single panel, this fourth panel may seem redundant, but it has a purpose. It slows down the pace. It draws focus to the act of hammering, not the result of the boarded window. So what if we add even more panels? Now we're really focused on the hammering. It's become aggressive, almost violent. The question isn't why is he boarding in the window? It's why is he so angry about it? Maybe his mom's been bugging him all day because, she doesn't want to be devoured by zombies. I don't know. All right, final tip. If you want to get better at paneling and pacing, then you need to experiment. Try things, but then analyze what you did. Did it tell the story? Did it convey the emotion? If it's just delivering dialogue, it's a wasted panel. Panels that convey story along with emotion and intent and the underlying purpose of a scene will make a more impactful comic. This is why we thumbnail, which is basically sketching a page or an episode to test panel layouts. We use stick figures, loose or no background, so we can quickly try out different things. Thumbnails are a huge part of making comics. Sometimes I think it's the hardest part. A day of thumbnailing completely turns my brain to mush. If you want to read more about the art of panels, I highly recommend Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. It's a book I think all comic creators should read. I'll link it below, of course. Remember, this is the first in a series of videos about panels, so please comment and let me know what other panel questions you have. I'm here for you, so help me help you. And in closing, if you've learned anything from this video, I hope it's that there isn't a single answer to how many panels. It's about the information being relayed, the emotion that needs to be felt, and how you do it. It's just as singular and unique as art style. It is your storytelling style. So go out there and make your comic knowing there isn't a right or wrong way to make it. And the more you make, the more you'll learn. You learn a lot more from making a comic than you'll learn from a book or a YouTube video. But, keep watching my videos, liking and subscribing. Check out my Patreon to support these videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.